Hey, this is the Energy of the Week reading for March 22nd, 2026, and you'll notice this week that I did not include music or singing. The message that came through didn't call for that, but I still tapped in through music when I was divining with the cards. This week's main theme was accompanied by the song Little Blue, and that's by the artist Jacob Collier. There's a link in the blog post, and I would offer that you might want to boot it up and listen to it while you read this, okay? It's a beautiful song. The version that I linked to is very calming and can be played quietly in the background, which is how I listened to it while I wrote this message for you. So, we begin with the shadow, a reflection from above, from the darkness, the occult, the unconscious. We cannot hear or see. We cannot perceive or listen, but it influences our thoughts, our emotions, and here in the below, our actions. We feel it whether we acknowledge it or not, but when we do not know it intimately, we project it outwards as negative, and then we begin to see the all in binary terms of good and evil, white and black. But gray matter, there is much. And it surrounds us. We live in it. It makes up much of the reality we both see and do not see. The black and white are amazingly useful places to start when we are trying to unravel meaning. But we have to come up out of there and look at the gray if we ever want to grow. We have to look at it and live in it and let it surround us and make us uncomfortable. And then reveal itself to us. Because in the gray is where we find the knowledge that moves life forward. Change, evolution in the dark, knowledge and wisdom from courage. This is what the message is about this week. The Devil card made an appearance this week, attached to our anchoring card described in the opening, the world of formation and shadow. I use tarot and oracle cards to divine because I appreciate and enjoy words. They offer clarity, and I find that the literal meaning behind the words almost always aligns with the intuitive message. Tonight's message is no different, but what does diverge is the way I am led to interpret, for it feels like I'm not meant to fully lean on the words or the original interpretation, but to heavily lean on intuition and deliver the message that aligns with that. And the devil? His appearance here is not entirely what it seems to be. Here, he brings us a message of freedom, courage, peering into the darkness to find truth, and questioning everything we think we know, including reality itself. He is here to clarify the world of formation and shadow, which first sends us into the darkness to meet our shadows, then pushes us into that gray matter to get uncomfortable enough to seek, find, and accept the truth. In our human mythology and religious traditions, the devil is the bad guy. He is the epitome of everything we should not be. He is evil itself. Evil, though, is not without utility. The universal law of polarity tells us that everything has a polar opposite, light and dark, up and down, good and evil. You cannot know one without the other, for they are not separate, but two sides of the exact same experience. They are intrinsically linked whether we like it or not. The goal is not to obliterate the opposite, but to integrate it, to balance it out. The polarity we find in black and white is what is being called into balance this week. And in between, you got it, we find the gray. How do we find that balance this week? What are we even trying to balance? You might look at your own life and find that which is utterly out of balance and know immediately what you must do. But on the collective level, we can see the struggle to balance between good and evil play out on the world stage, right out in the open. Those who were hidden in the shadows are saying the quiet parts out loud, and have been for too many years now, but every day they say it louder and prouder, and with more arrogance and more confidence and more surety, as if nothing can ever stop them from taking their extreme views and crafting a world where there is nothing left to balance out the polarities that their vision lives in. And they are wrong. This week, the devil himself sits at our side as our friend, as our guide, and he tells us, look, see, find truth. I am here to illuminate the darkness and help you pull everything hiding in the shadows into the light. I will help you see it, help you call it out, help you find the courage to create balance between the polarities. I am the gray matter where you will find the knowledge you seek, for you have been told a fairy tale about who I am and what I represent. I am here to help. Balance. We must seek balance. To do that, we must continue to create the world we want to see around us. But the advice offered this week is specific. Listen. Listen to the unheard. Hear what is not said. Let the devil help us see into the darkness. Turn off that analytical, always questioning, never quiet brain and lean into the intuitive messages sent to you, for that is where the answers are. And then, as contradictory as it sounds, come on back down fully and be here in our waking life, on this planet, in this reality on earth, and be who and what we're meant to be, pulling that which we create into this reality by any means necessary. While we don't want to overanalyze, what we do want to do after we pick up on that intuitive message that is being sent to us, blaring from the depths of the universe, is come right back to reality and plan, prepare, set our goals and look for the lessons, find the areas ripe for growth and change, and then follow that plan to birth that which is necessary into our world. Usually, I interpret messages by relying on the words, but this week, that's it. That's all. That's the message. Listen to what cannot be heard. Pull the message, create, and then birth. All the love, peoples. All the love. Hey, I wanted to drop back in real quick with a postscript note about card references and music references, and then just an additional thought on balance. But before we get there, here are the cards used for this week's reading. I used the Santa Muerte Oracle by Fabio Listrani, and the card pulled was the World of Formations and Shadow. That was clarified by the Devil card from the Tarot of Oneness by Robyn, Voisey. From Divination of the Ancients, I pulled the card Dictionary Communication, clarified by the Moon card from the Tarot of Oneness. And then from Heavenly Bodies Astrology, I pulled the card Yang, standing for proactivity, expression, doing and forward motion, and that was accompanied by the Two of Wands, which we know is about planning and preparation, right? The song that was inspiring to me that I listened to during this week's card pull, that was Little Blue. The song was Little Blue by Jacob Collier. And it's the acoustic version. So if you type in, there's a link in the blog, and there will be a link under the video. But if you type in the acoustic version of Little Blue, it's such a beautiful song. So I'm going to get back into the postscript that I wanted to add. This week's reading, it speaks a lot about balance, and I wanted to add a little bit more as we work with the Devil card from Tarot to seek that balance. The devil here represents the darkness, and he appears as a guide to help us see into the darkness and pull out what we need into the light, even if we want to keep our heads in the sand, even if we want to resist, even if we really just don't want to. When we take action, divine action, when we face the darkness to pull what we need into the light, that is what will create the needed balance between the polarities as defined by universal law. And balance does not always look equal. So I want you to imagine that I am sitting on one side of a seesaw or teeter-totter or whatever you call it in your part of the world. To create balance and make that seesaw useful, you have to put an equal amount of weight on the opposite side of me, right? But that doesn't have to mean one person who weighs the same as me, or even multiple people who collectively weigh the same. It could be someone half my weight and they happen to bring a collection of objects that weigh enough to create balance, right? It could be just a whole bunch of inanimate objects heavy enough to create balance. Or if there's some objective process that determines I shouldn't be able to use the seesaw at all, then the balance is created by keeping me suspended and immobilized. So the objects on the other end will have to be a lot heavier, right? The goal is balance on a universal level. So you not only have to figure out what that balance should look like, but find the necessary components to create it. So I wanted to add that because some of us might get tripped up by the words, the devil, and not understand where the balance can be found between the polarities or along the polarity of good and evil. Even there, one can find balance. If the scales happen to be tipping in any one direction on that particular polarity, we might have to pile a whole bunch of stuff up on the opposite end to make it right? And right might look like this, not necessarily like this. So that is truly it. That's all I have. You guys have the best week, and I will see you next week, okay?